Coming to you from deep inside the bowels of a great big empty. Get ready for another episode of The Home Defense Show with Skip Correia.
Hello, American families. Welcome back to this week's episode of The Home Defense Show. I'm your host, Skip Correia, and if you love your family, care about them deeply, and want to learn how to protect them in every facet of your life, then you've come to the right place. We have a great show for you today, and I know that you're going to love it. First off, we've got Inside Skip's Brain. What am I thinking about? What am I feeling? What is going on in my life? And then in segments 2 and segments 3, we have got a return for John Correia from ActiveSelfProtection.com. John is going to talk about the need for open hand defense skills. Sometimes the gun isn't enough, or sometimes you can't get to the gun. That's why you need something else. And John's going to talk to us all about that. Then in segment 4, we are going to be speaking about the Las Vegas shooting. Over 58 dead right now, 500 wounded. We'll be talking about that. But first, Inside Skip's Brain. What's going on? What am I doing these days? Well, as you know, we just had the opening day of archery deer season here in my home state of Michigan. And boy, I put off this show. Normally I release this on Friday, but I wanted to wait until after opening day because I wanted to tell you all kinds of stories about how I shot this 10-point buck, and I thought it'd be real exciting, and perhaps my victory gloat was premature because I didn't even see a deer yesterday. I went out again this morning in a last-ditch attempt to try and get a deer before broadcast, and I didn't see a deer this morning either. It was just terrible. My kids don't understand. They're 6, 7, 11 years old, and they equate archery deer hunting to running down to the grocery store and picking up a pound of ground beef. It's not quite that easy, folks. There's a lot of work that goes into it, a lot of sitting. I would say probably, maybe 10 or 20% of the time that I go out, I might even see deer. I know that varies depending on your habitat and where you're hunting. Some people see deer every time they go out, but, not me. So it is a challenge, definitely a challenge, and I am not done. I definitely will get that deer. I'm going to do it, and when I do it, you'll be the first to know. I will tell you all about it on the air. Okay, what else am I doing? We just finished up our advanced concealed carry classes for the year. Last Friday, we had a level 3 advanced handgun tactics. That was fun. We did some shooting from inside a vehicle, which you don't get to do very often. And then we did some airsoft training as well, which was really nice. The students said they had a great time. No one got hurt, and I got paid. So, man, that's a good day all the way around. We'll start that up again in April. So take the winter off. I think over the winter, I'm going to be doing more church security training, active shooter training, things of that nature, because we can actually do that inside with airsoft. Let's face it, it gets cold up here in Michigan, January, February, March time frame. So we'll take it up again in April and hit it hard. Now, before we get on with the news, let's get back to hunting just for a second here. I came in from hunting this morning, and I was playing with the kids, talking to them, talking to my wife, and Sarah, out of the blue, she says, "You are so happy. You should hunt year-round." Of course, if I did that, I'd be thrown in jail because it's illegal. I wouldn't be happy then, but I have to admit, I am much happier during hunting season. And it's not because I'm killing things, because I didn't kill anything yesterday or today. It has nothing to do with the killing. For me, it's the experience as a whole. I went out there yesterday morning and this morning. Beautiful sunrise this morning. When was the last time you walked out into the woods or sat on your front porch and just watched the sun come up from pitch black, and then all of a sudden you get a little bit of ambient light? The horizon over in the east will start to glow, and it might be red or orange or yellow, and then you see the sun just start to come up. It peeks out over the horizon, and sometimes the sun is so huge when it comes up over that horizon. It just looks awesome, and boy, I just love it. And I'm listening to the birds, and I'm feeling the breeze, and the air smells better out in the woods than it does up by the road. It's just awesome, and it makes me feel relaxed and peaceful, and I don't know, I feel closer to nature, I feel closer to God, and I just loved it. So, hey, I'm going to be doing it some more. All right, enough fun stuff. Let's go to Drudge Report. Let's just look on there and see what's happening here. What does it say on Drudge? Well, it's a bad day when you go on Drudge Report and everything is red. That usually means something big happened. Boy, I was out in my tree stand this morning, and it's pitch black. I'm waiting for, it to get light so I can watch for deer. So when it's dark like that, I'll just pray, or maybe I'll sing inside my head, just relax. I'll check my email, things like that. Maybe send my wife a text. I'm checking my email out in my tree stand this morning, and I get this email. I'm reading this email from New York City, and it says, hello, Mr. Correia. Usually that's a scam. It's someone from, India or Africa, and they have a can't miss deal for me. All I need to do is send them $10 million or whatever. But it says, my name is so-and-so, a producer for, this news station. We would like to invite you to our New York City studio at 3rd Times Square today at about 3 p.m. for a debate about gun control. How should I contact you in order to arrange the details? Thank you for your cooperation, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, why would I want to go to New York City for an interview or for any reason whatsoever? I don't want to go to New York City. First, I have to disarm, and then I'm surrounded by millions of people. And I get this while I'm out in the woods enjoying myself, surrounded by no one except God's creation. So I just hit the delete button, and I didn't think anything else of it. A few minutes later, I go on Drudge Report. And it's just everything is red. Everything is red. Face of evil, gunman named, he snapped. ISIS claims he was their soldier, and 58 dead, 515 injured at Vegas concert. The Mandalay Massacre, they're calling it. Machine gun terror over the Strip. And I hate it when this happens. Every time this happens, I said I wasn't going to talk about this till the 4th segment, but it's hard to get away from it because it's like ignoring the elephant in the room, stepping over it as you go to the kitchen for a new can of Mountain Dew. I might have 2 Mountain Dews today, simply because it's a bad day. I feel bad for these people, 58 plus people. I don't know if it was terrorism, if the ISIS claim is correct. I don't know if he's from the far left, the far right, and does it really matter? Does it really matter to the people, the 58 people who are dead? I highly doubt it. Doesn't matter to their mothers and fathers, their sisters, their brothers, their spouses. It just doesn't matter. All that matters is that they're dead and that over 500 people are injured. And you got to wonder, what is this going to mean? Because already, the bodies aren't even cold yet, and the far left is calling for more gun control. It's typical. They always do. Hopefully that won't happen because we know it's not about guns. We will find out that this guy was mentally ill or he was evil or he was, Islamic terrorism. We'll find out something like that. It wasn't the gun that went crazy and killed people. It was the man. And the answer isn't to try and control the gun. It's to control the people. But anyways, it's just, it's sad. My heart goes out to all the relatives and the victims. Here the sheriff says it couldn't have been prevented. Well, yeah, you're right. How could it have been prevented? Evil has been happening since, Cain slew Abel. So why would we expect it to stop? Has the heart of man changed? I don't think it has. Human nature hasn't changed. Humans are capable of doing very, very good things, but their inclination is to do bad things, not good things. And I don't see that changing anytime in the near future. It hasn't changed for thousands of years, so why would it all of a sudden change now? So my advice to you folks out there is, since it's not going to change, since it's likely to get worse, learn how to protect your family. Get trained, get armed, watch out for your family. This guy was shooting for 10 minutes. It took 10 minutes to stop this guy. It was just terrible. We'll know more facts later on, but it usually takes a few days for stuff to come out. So we'll talk about it more next week as we know more details. In segment 4, I think we'll go ahead and we'll talk about how not all the gruesome details about this man and what he did. We'll talk about more important things like how can you protect your family against people like this. That's what we'll do in segment 4. Coming up in segment 2 and 3, we have John Correia from Active Self-Protection. We're going to be talking about open-handed skills. Obviously, open-handed skills wouldn't have saved anyone against the Mandalay Massacre, but most altercations don't rise to the level of deadly force. They are hand-to-hand. They're words that escalate to physical combat. The sad part is most concealed carry holders have zero open-handed skills. And that's why I invited John to come and talk to us, because he's an expert at this. He knows what he's doing. He's trained for many, many years in open-handed self-defense. And he's going to talk to us about that. I like John, and I think you guys are going to like him too. Super guy, lots of knowledge, and he's very articulate. Okay, well, that's about all the time we have in segment 1. We will be back in 2 minutes, and we will talk with John Correia from Active Self-Protection. Over the next 2 minutes, I want you to take a break from the news. Just relax, go outside, surround yourself with nature, and just breathe the air in slowly. Breathe in, breathe out. It's going to be okay. Life will go on. It will be fine. And then call your spouse and tell her or him that you love them. All right, this is Skip Correia on the Home Defense Show. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
My name is CJ Correia. Welcome to the Home Defense Show with my dad, Skip Correia. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
This is Skip Correia from the Home Defense Show, and I want you to have the very best handgun that money can buy. And that's why we recommend you visit Larry Jackson at Elite Firearms and Training. As a concealed carry instructor, I see people every week out on the range with guns they can't shoot properly because they didn't know what to buy. That will never happen at Elite Firearms and Training. Larry Jackson will personally fit you with your very own personal defense pistol. So call Larry Jackson today at 616-299-8715 or visit elitefirearms.us. This is Skip Correia from the Home Defense Show, and I want to talk to you about keeping your kids safe around guns. I've never been a big fan of trigger locks, but I have to tell you, I have found a product called Child Safe One. It's a trigger blocker, not a trigger lock, and it works fantastic. I tried it out on my kids, and they could not get the Child Safe One off the training gun. I gave them 5 minutes. I sat there and I watched them, and they couldn't do it. Folks, I am satisfied, more than satisfied, that my kids are safe around Child Safe One. Here's the good thing about it. I can get that lock off the gun in under 2 seconds, but my kids can't even figure out how it works. Child Safe One is a win-win for everyone in the family. My wife's happy because she knows the guns are secure. My kids are happy because they're safe. And I'm happy because when the wolf comes a knocking, I've got that gun cocked, locked, and ready to rock in less than 2 seconds. So go to globalgunsafety.com and get Child Safe One today. That's globalgunsafety.com. Check it out now and tell them the Home Defense Show sent you. Okay, folks, welcome back to the Home Defense Show. This is your host, Skip Correia. I have with us on the phone today John Correia from Active Self-Protection. John's been on with us twice before, and he was an awesome interview. So we have invited John back. John, welcome to the Home Defense Show.
Thanks, Skip. I'm glad to be here.
All right. John, we were talking offline about open-handed self-defense. The importance for it. I really don't know that much about it. I was hoping you could speak on the topic of open-handed self-defense, the need for it, the different types and things of that nature.
The need is high. I'm a firearms carrier, like a lot of people that I know, and I carry a firearm not for assaults, but for aggravated assaults. That's, a firearm is a unitasker. It is only a useful tool against a deadly threat to stop that deadly threat. The FBI UCR, what you see is about 80% of assaults in America every year are not aggravated assaults. They're simple assaults. The difference definitionally, if you go to the UCR, that an aggravated assault results in hospital stay more than 2 days or breaks a bone. And so those roughly the definition of a deadly threat or grievous bodily harm where a firearm might be useful. Well, that being the case, 80% then likelihood, if I'm assaulted, that the firearm that is on me is not a useful tool. However, there's other things as well. You think about the fact that I go into non-permissive environments on a fairly regular basis. Here in Arizona, schools are off limits to firearms. We're working on that at a legislative level, but no Lord knows how long that'll take. But firearms are not allowed in schools. I just flew on an airplane yesterday, home from teaching a class. Well, I can't keep my firearm on me, but they can't take your hands away from you. Can't take your empty-handed skills away from you anywhere you go. So they're very useful. They are useful in way more instances than a firearm is. And your knowledge and your skills can never be taken away from you. So I tell everybody, no matter what situation you find yourself in, that empty-handed skills, and whether you want to call that martial arts or combatives training or whatever, highly useful.
Mm-hmm. John, how much strength, physical strength, do you need to use open-handed skills? Because obviously some of us are smaller and weaker than others, older, younger, etc.
Well, I think you'd be a fool to say that physical size and physical strength don't matter when you're talking about, a fist fight or a grappling contest, because they do matter. Obviously, a very large, very strong attacker has a significant advantage, or a very large, strong defender has a very significant advantage that a smaller, weaker defender does not have. In some sense, that's irrelevant, because as strong and as big as you are now. Yes, we can maximize that. We should maximize that. Our physical fitness is important. Our physical prowess is something we can work on. And so, just for your general health, it's good and important to make sure that you are fit and strong. You are who you are. And I believe personally that a good empty-handed program, a good martial art to the particular characteristics of a person. So if I'm, for instance, at our school teaching a brute of a man. I have a student who's 6'5" and 300 pounds. Well, he has a different approach to his self-defense than the 14-year-old, 15-year-old girl that I have in class who's 5 feet tall and 97 pounds soaking wet. Well, she has a different set of priorities and a different strength set, not just physical strength, but she has some things that he doesn't, and he has some things that she doesn't. And I think that an art that is focused on strength, that requires strength to work, is not an art that I personally am very interested in, because I know when I'm 86 years old, I ain't going to have that. So I want an art that's focused on technique, that's focused on principles of body mechanics, and it requires a minimum of things that I have no control over.
Yeah. John, I can relate to that. I chuckled when you said that, because just about a week ago, I turned 60 years old, and it's like, boy, when you get to a certain age, you start to lose muscle mass, and you lose eyesight, you lose hearing, you lose speed, agility, flexibility. It just all starts to go away a little bit at first. You don't notice, but eventually it does go away without a doubt.
As you age, it does. It's just
What discipline do you study?
I'm a weirdo, and I study a derivative of Kempo. So the art that I study, we actually call UMAS, which is an acronym itself. It stands for Universal Martial Arts Sciences. I study under Professor Lawrence Robinson here in the Phoenix area. And we also study with Grandmaster Skip Hancock. So, and that art we call UMAS, it derives from Ed Parker's Kempo. So Ed Parker was the very first guy to open a commercial martial arts school in the United States. He brought Kempo karate over from Hawaii, where he grew up. He learned that some, at least from Mr. Chow, who brought that over from China. Kempo at its core is a Chinese art. Here's the thing. Every martial art is built or founded upon a particular context. And if you don't recontextualize your art for your context, if you don't recontextualize when the context changes, then you maintain artifacts that aren't applicable here. So that's a very important thing to us, which attempts to recontextualize each individual student in their world. So, for instance, in the world that Mr. Parker grew up in, very few people carried firearms. It just wasn't what happened in the 40s and 50s in Hawaii. However, I carry a firearm every day in Arizona. And so my art incorporates my firearm into it, my OC spray into it, my flashlight into it, where his just didn't. It wasn't something that he thought about. So the art that I study is a derivative of his art, recontextualized and changed for my particular circumstance. And that's what we teach. Now, I have friends who are judoka. They study judo. I have friends who study jiu-jitsu, and including some very high-level practitioners of jiu-jitsu. I have friends who study Kempo. I have friends who study Taekwondo. I have friends who study Wing Chun or Aikido or Kali or Eskrima. One of the things that I always tell people is it's really less about the art that you study than the teacher that you study from. And the reason for that is that a great teacher, you contextualize art to your needs. And they're saying, here's what I do. And if they don't understand how to contextualize that to your particular work, then that's less helpful. Since I currently hold a first-degree black belt, and I told him if he asked me to do another kata for my second-degree black belt, that I would never take it because I'm just done with the formality.
Yeah.
But I'd never make it there. And I think, he's like, no, you have one that's for you. And okay, cool. Study under an art that I would consider less if the teacher was great, less effective even if the teacher was phenomenal and could help me contextualize to my personal needs. I also encourage people. Some people love that art. They call it martial arts. It's the art of war. And in our art, we call it the martial arts sciences. So it's some art, some science. And I am a scientist. I don't like the art side very much. I'm more into science itself. So that's kind of the way that I encourage people to approach it.
You mentioned OC spray before. People will carry pepper spray or pepper gel or something like that. When would you bring the spray or the gel into play in some type of an altercation?
I really recommend a pepper spray. It can be a fight stopper. Now, the thing you got to recognize, about 85 to 90% of the population, it is a long 45-minute trip to purgatory. It is ugly. However, for about 10 to 15% of the population, OC sprays can be effective.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you hose somebody down with it, you're rolling a little bit of dice that it's not going to be effective, so you might have to go hand-on with them. Where an OC is very helpful is not when somebody's beating your face in. Antisocial violence or asocial violence, but social violence, when somebody is looking you in the face and, pointing, poking you in the chest and think, I'm going to beat the crap out of you, you cut them off and you get out of the car in a parking lot and they want to get out and have an argument about it. You inadvertently, shoulder check some guy and he wants to fight about it or whatever. And you go, hey, man, I'm sorry. And he just wants to pursue that to get after you. So for a brewing physical conflict or a brewing verbal conflict that looks imminently physical, OC spray is very helpful. I've used mine twice on dogs, and it's very effective on an aggressive dog. Dogs do not take OC. In fact, I found that you don't even really necessarily have to hit the dog. If you get it just gets sprayed in the air, and dogs are like, nah, I'm good.
Oh, yeah. Their sense of smell is incredible.
Yeah, not effective on every dog, but on a vast majority.
Mm-hmm.
As an aside, most sprays I don't recommend because I can't verify the batch consistency and the major capsaicinoid percentages. And the two that I know that do it consistently, batch after batch after batch, are Sabre Red, and that's SABRE, and Fox Labs 5.3 formulation. So I recommend either Sabre Red or Fox Labs 5.3 as the two that I recommend people carry.
All right, awesome. All right, John, we're just about out of time for this segment, so we'll pause for 2 minutes, go to our sponsors, and when we come back, we will be speaking again with John Correia from ActiveSelfProtection.com. This is Skip Correia on Home Defense Show. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Correia on the Home Defense Show. Always use guns safely and wisely. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This is Skip Correia from the Home Defense Show, and I want to talk to you about keeping your kids safe around guns. I've never been a big fan of trigger locks, but I have to tell you, I have found a product called Child Safe One. It's a trigger blocker, not a trigger lock, and it works fantastic. I tried it out on my kids, and they could not get the Child Safe One off the training gun. I gave them 5 minutes. I sat there and I watched them, and they couldn't do it. Folks, I am satisfied, more than satisfied, that my kids are safe around Child Safe One. Here's the good thing about it. I can get that lock off the gun in under 2 seconds, but my kids can't even figure out how it works. Child Safe One is a win-win for everyone in the family. My wife's happy because she knows the guns are secure. My kids are happy because they're safe. And I'm happy because when the wolf comes a-knocking, I've got that gun cocked, locked, and ready to rock in less than 2 seconds. So go to globalgunsafety.com and get Child Safe One today. That's globalgunsafety.com. Check it out now and tell them the Home Defense Show sent you.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if life was like the movies and the good guys always won? In today's world, if you're forced to use your firearm to protect yourself, you will need protection. Firearms Legal Protection is here for you. FLP provides you with seasoned, experienced attorneys that handle your criminal and civil matters as a result of you protecting yourself. FirearmsLegal.com provides its members with uncapped attorney's fees, bail bond protection, and coverage in all 50 states. We are not a reimbursement plan. You can access uncapped attorney's fees for as low as $10 a month. Firearms Legal members are provided with educational services, training videos, and access to our vast national attorney network. While you're protecting yourself, let Firearms Legal protect you.
Listen up, folks. This is important. There are plenty of legal protection services out there, but none will protect you as well as Firearms Legal Protection. This is the one I use and the only one I recommend. Visit firearmslegal.com/Midwest Tactical and protect your family now. Okay, folks, welcome back to the Home Defense Show. This is your host, Skip Correia. We have with us on the phone John Correia from Active Self Protection. And if you have not been to activeselfprotection.com or the YouTube channel for Active Self Protection, you need to get there. I go there every day now, and I watch videos that John posts. John, you do a better job of describing that. Real quickly, go ahead and describe to people what you do. It's almost a ministry in self-defense that you do.
Oh, I do consider it one. Well, people send me real-life surveillance videos of armed robberies, carjackings, muggings, stabbings, home invasions, burglaries, assaults of all kinds, and I narrate them for lessons learned, and I post a new one every single day to our YouTube channel. And we have right now about 520 or 530 of them on the YouTube channel. We post a new one every single day. We've watched at this point about 10 or 12,000 encounters, and we've posted between that and our Facebook page, where we have a bunch of other discussion too, around 1,000 total incidents where we just try to help people every day see the realities of self-defense encounters and then make their attitude, their skills, and their plan fit to meet the challenges they're likely to face.
Yeah. Well, John, what it does for me, it does several things, but one important thing that it does for me is it reminds me that evil does exist. And, we'll hear about something that happened or a news article or whatever, but when you actually see it, on video, it's actually happening. I mean, you can see someone being stabbed or the blood. It just reminds you that, gosh, this isn't some nebulous thing that will never, ever happen to me. This actually could, and it helps me keep my level of awareness higher than it normally would be. So I certainly appreciate that.
Every time you get to experience someone else, when you can see someone else's experience, whether that's honestly sometimes reading someone else's recollection, hearing an interview with them, or in my case, seeing a third-party encounter, well, that experience can help you emotionally and mentally prepare for what's to come. It's mental reps, and just like a high-level athlete will do a mental reps and will watch others do what they're trying to do to see how to do it well, that's what we do. We provide mental reps and coaching for people so that, God forbid, their turn comes. Because, of course, we never want to have anybody attack us. We never want to have to be a self-defender. But if and when our turn comes, to have a maximum level of readiness, and that way we have the best chance of having a positive outcome.
Yeah. Well, what I've done, I'll teach concealed carry classes, as do you, almost every weekend. And what I'll do is I always send people to activeselfprotection.com or your YouTube channel, because they'll come in there, almost naive. It's like they know that there's some danger out there. Maybe a friend of theirs had a home invasion or a mugging or something. So they know that something's wrong out there. But they're naive to a certain degree because people just don't understand, evil and are violent people. So I always send them there, and I've got a level 3 advanced concealed carry class coming up this Friday. And one of the things we're going to be doing in our class, we'll go in the classroom portion and we'll fire up YouTube, and on the big screen we are going to watch some of your videos from ActiveSelfProtection.com. And we're just going to listen to the analysis, the breakdown. We're going to talk about it, and then we'll go out into the range and with airsoft and actually kind of recreate some of these things. And I think it's just such a really helpful tool. It's helped me personally, and it's helped all of my students. So, I just want to thank you for doing what you do. I know it takes a lot of your time, John.
My pleasure. Yeah, it does. I mean, it's a full-time job just to get the videos up every day and try to moderate comments and keep people pointed in the right direction. I'm very grateful for my incredible staff. I have my XO, Stephanie, is absolutely integral to the success of the business, and she's the one behind the scenes making sure all the instructors have the right access to the videos and can use them effectively. And she makes sure that our patron members are well taken care of and the admin side is good and the messages are answered. She's incredible. And I also have a video post-production assistant, John, who makes sure the videos look good and gets them uploaded for me so that I can. So it is a labor of love. I'm really glad they're helpful for people. That's why we do it. We do it so that the good people of our communities can protect themselves from harm, and I think that is a service that I'm very grateful to provide.
Well, John, I've been shopping around for some type of open-handed skill that I can incorporate into my self-defense system. And I visited a class just a few days ago, and it was a Krav Maga class, and it wasn't what I was expecting. A lot of the martial arts that I see, it's like they're beautiful. It's like they actually are art. They do the beautiful katas, and it's fluid, and it's like, my gosh, is this like ballet or something? There's high kicks, and they're spinning around, and they're jumping, and it's acrobatic. Krav Maga was not like that. It seemed very practical to me. It's like they had real scenario-based training, but it seemed incredibly brutal, almost barbaric, the way they would practice these skills. What should people look for in some discipline where they want to incorporate it into their self-defense plan?
Well, so first of all, just again, remember, every art has an origin, and that origin is its context. So Krav Maga, at its definition, those are Hebrew words, right? It is an art designed for the Israeli defense that for the last 70 years, Israel has existed as a political entity, and modern Israel has, and their soldiers are surrounded by people who hate them, and so their style of empty-handed skills is designed to keep soldiers alive against people who want to kill them. Well, that tends to make it very brutal, very hardcore. It's also generally designed for young, fit people. So just take that for what it is with a grain of salt. And here's a funny thing, is that I met a Krav Maga teacher this last weekend who is not your typical muscle-bound, jacked-up, hardcore dude, but was a grandma and a lady who was very kind and very thoughtful, and it was really great to see somebody break out of that stereotype. So what I tell people, I'm not a Krav Maga practitioner, so I can't give you advice on whether or not Krav Maga is appropriate. I don't do Krav, and so I don't want to give you advice on whether or not Krav Maga is right for you. However, this is what I generally say. In every town in America, there's going to be a different schools, different teachers, different arts. I have friends here in town who study, Korean arts, Hwang Do, and stuff like that too. What is your desire out of your art? It sounds to me, Skip, like you're interested, like I am, in self-defense, that's your primary interest. Other people really want to have something to be excellent at, or they want to work on physical fitness, or they do want that art. Oh, okay, cool. So maybe that's going to color what you want. For me and for mine, what I tell folks is, number one, go and talk to the teacher and ask for the teacher for their philosophy of teaching and their philosophy of self-defense or their philosophy of their art. Why is it that the art that you do? What do you like about it? How do you help students? What do you do? And a teacher that won't sit down with you, if you say, hey, I'd like 15 or 20 minutes to get to know you a little bit, to interview, to kind of get a feel for how you teach. If they say they don't have time for that, they don't have time for you as a student in a way. Secondly, I always tell people that they should be able to watch a class. They should be able to sit on the sidelines and watch the students, perform and learn. Any teacher who won't allow a visitor to watch a class is not a teacher I want to learn from. Third, I would strongly encourage people to go to a school where you can take a few classes before you commit to anything long term. Some schools are diploma mills, and some schools are really more about the money than they are about the students, and they want you to commit to a long-term agreement, like almost like a gym membership that you've got 2 years that you're going to pay us X dollars a month. Well, you should be able to take a few classes first before you make that level of commitment. If they won't let you pilot a couple of classes, I would not train there. Mm-hmm. So it really is about the teacher, and it really is about their commitment to helping their students rather than making sure that their business is well funded. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm okay with at that point. If you have interviewed the teacher and you really like their teaching philosophy, they're not intimidating to you, but you feel like you can learn from them. You've watched a class, you've seen students interact in class, you feel like it's a positive environment for you. You feel like, man, this is good stuff. You see some of the things there that you want to get out of an art, out of empty-handed skills. So you've watched a few, and then you go and take a couple. But no, I actually, I got better every time. One of the other things I really recommend is some people in those few classes, do you feel like your abilities improved and that you got something out of those classes? So that's, in my opinion, a much better model, because in every class you leave from, you have some enhanced skill set. You've learned something and taking something aboard that will give you a better chance in a real encounter. Actually, for the first couple years, it usually takes a minimum twice a week to make some significant progress.
Yeah. I think, John, you've given me what I need to make my decision. Basically, you're looking for the right teacher for you, for the application that you want. And you're correct. I do want it for self-defense. Basically, because I'm 60 years old, I'm declining in strength and speed and agility and all of that. I know that if I were to get into an all-out brawl with a 20-year-old man, I would not last very long, and that's just going to get worse for me, with age. So what I'm looking for is something where I can just break the counterattack and then create enough space so that I can either get away or bring my gun to bear, whichever is appropriate. And I like your philosophy and the ideas that you've given me, and that's what I'm going to use when I choose whatever I do. So, John, we're out of time now, but I want to thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom and experience with my listeners. Can you go ahead and one more time tell people where they can get a hold of you and view your ministry?
The easiest way is, of course, on social media. If you're on YouTube, it's youtube.com/active self-protection. And if you hit subscribe, especially if you hit that little notification bell, and that way every morning when I post a new video, YouTube will tell you, hey, we post a bunch there every day. And you can go to our website as well, activeselfprotection.com.
All right, fantastic. Okay, folks, we got a 2-minute break. Go ahead and listen to our sponsors. But while you're doing that, get on your YouTube channel and do a search on Active Self-Protection, and check out John Correia and all the videos that he has. They're fantastic. You're going to love it. Okay, this is Skip Correia on the Home Defense Show. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Welcome to my dad's Home Defense Radio show. You're gonna love it.
Hey folks, this is Skip Correia, host of the Home Defense Show. I want to tell you about my book, Civilian Combat, the Concealed Carry Book. More and more people across the country are seeing the dangers in society and deciding to carry concealed to protect themselves and their families. My new book lays it out step by step. It'll teach you how to protect and defend the ones you love. Get the benefit of 17 years of teaching experience and a lifetime of training for this important role in society and in your family. You can get Civilian Combat real easy. Just go to Amazon.com, search on Skip Correia Civilian Combat. It'll pop right up there. Don't put it off any longer. Get Civilian Combat, the Concealed Carry Book, by yours truly, Skip Correia. This is Skip Correia from the Home Defense Show, and I want you to have the very best handgun that money can buy. And that's why we recommend you visit Larry Jackson at Elite Firearms and Training. As a concealed carry instructor, I see people every week out on the range with guns they can't shoot properly because they didn't know what to buy. That will never happen at Elite Firearms and Training. Larry Jackson will personally fit you with your very own personal defense pistol. So call Larry Jackson today at 616-299-8715 or visit elitefirearms.us. Okay, folks, welcome back to the Home Defense Show. This is your host, Skip Correia. John Correia is great. I love the guy. Fantastic. He knows what he's talking about, and I hope you guys got as much out of him as I did, because I learned a lot. I mentioned earlier that I had done a Level 3 Advanced Handgun Tactics class, and we viewed ActiveSelfProtection.com videos, and we analyzed them, and we asked what worked, what didn't work, what should they have done differently, and it was very helpful. Just watching the looks on the students' faces when they watch someone being stabbed to death or when they watch someone being shot. People have this misconception that they can handle themselves in any given situation. They get a little bit of training and they suddenly think they're 10 feet tall and bulletproof. You're not. I'm not. None of us are. Evil does exist. Someday evil will visit your door. Question is, what are you going to do when that wolf comes knocking? And most times he doesn't knock. He just barges right in. Most altercations are extremely sudden and extremely violent. So you got to have a plan, and you got to have a plan that works. Active self-protection. John always talks about ASP, A-S-P. Stands for attitude, skills, and plan. You got to have the attitude. The attitude is the willingness to fight back, the courage to take on the evil, and to fight with all you've got. We go on his website, on his YouTube channel, and we see videos of people who had the attitude. They were brave as can be, and they fought hard, but they lost. Why? Because they didn't have the skills, and they didn't have a plan. You have to have all three if you're going to flourish in these life or death situations. You got to have the attitude. You got to be courageous. You got to be brave. But you also have to have the skill set. Gunfighting is a skill set. But there's more than just gunfighting. You got to have the open-handed skills. Because many times these fights go to the ground. Many times people have a gun or a knife shoved in their face, and they don't have the skills to push it away properly. Or they get down on the ground, and they just don't have what it takes, either physically or mentally, to survive that altercation. You got to have that plan, attitude, skills, and the plan. If you don't have all three, you are very vulnerable to attack. And after we watched John's videos, we went out on the gun range with airsoft pistols, and we reenacted a convenience store robbery. We call them stop and robs. And it was real interesting because I set up the scenario, and then we let it play out, and then we would analyze what happened. What did you do right? What did you do wrong? What would you do differently next time? And almost without exception, the students were surprised. When I asked them at the end of the class what was the most helpful part of the class, it wasn't the shooting portion, it was the airsoft. Because they said, wow, I didn't know that my plan wasn't going to work. They had a plan, they had good attitude, they had skills, but when it actually worked its way out in real life, they would have died. It's important to know what works and what doesn't work. Those airsoft reenactment scenarios, boy, it's great to show you what works in real life and what doesn't, because you can plan all you want, but that doesn't mean that the bad guy is going to go with your script. He has a script all of his own. He is going to do what he wants to do, and you have to react to what he's doing, because by definition, he's the bad guy, so he is always going to make the first step. He is always going to initiate the fight, because you're the good guy. You don't want to fight with anyone. So you're always going to be responding to his ambush. So that was fantastic. That worked out really, really great for us. All right, so ActiveSelfProtection.com, or go to YouTube and search on Active Self-Protection. Check that out. Watch it every single day, and you will be prepared. I told you we were going to talk about that melee in Las Vegas, the active shooter. Not really, he was an active shooter, but it was a special kind of an active shooting. The machine gun sniper is what they're calling it. And that's pretty accurate. Anytime you fire down on thousands of people from 32 stories up with a machine gun, you're going to get a really high body count. So obviously this guy planned this out, and it was very effective. There are already calls for disarmament, gun control. Senator Elizabeth Warren and Hillary Clinton are calling for the senseless violence to stop. We must stop gun violence once and for all. And I think that's a very naive attitude. Now, would I like to stop gun violence? Well, not all gun violence. If someone attacks me with a knife, I want to be able to use gun violence to stop them and to protect my family. So I would like to stop all nefarious gun violence, but certainly not self-protection. Think about it. Can you really stop all gun violence? No. Has anyone ever done it before? Of course not. There will always be gun violence. If you take away guns, there will always be knife violence. If you take away all knives, there will always be club violence. There will always be violence. Why? Because we're a violent people. Human beings are violent by nature. It's in our DNA. It's in our mindset. It is in our human nature. You are not going to stop violence until you stop humanity. We are violent by definition. It's one of our defining characteristics. We can also be very compassionate, but we have a choice. And that's the key to me, is we have a choice. We can do good or we can do evil. Most people choose to do good, but this man, this machine gun shooter, for whatever reason, chose to do evil. When someone chooses to do evil, you have to have strong people that can stand up, strong, good people that stand up and put him down. If you don't have that, then the body count gets higher and higher and higher. Thank God the police were able to respond when they did. It's highly unlikely that someone like myself, a concealed carry holder, could have stopped anything like this. You're going up against a machine gun with a pistol 32 floors up. So this was kind of a special situation. Many times, honest law-abiding citizens with guns can stop the bad guys from killing. In this situation, not likely. Not likely at all. How long have these active shooters been going on? Whoa, a long time. A long, long time. There are certain of them that we know all about, like, well, the latest before this was like the Pulse nightclub. That was the big one. 49 killed and 50 wounded in the Pulse nightclub, June 12, 2016. San Bernardino shooting, December 2, 2015. Husband and wife went in there. It was Islamic terrorism. Opened fire at a holiday party, killed 14 and wounded 22. Sandy Hook Elementary School, very sad. 20 kids, 6 and 7-year-olds, dead, plus 6 staffers at the school. Virginia Tech, that guy was a total lunatic. 32 dead people in Blacksburg, Virginia. Columbine, for most of us, that's the one that started it all. That's the one that we remember. April 1999, 2 students, I'm not even going to say their names, killed 12 students and 1 teacher. That was 1999. Then prior to that, we had 8 years. 1991, then we had Luby's Cafeteria. It's the one where Susanna Hupp was there and her parents were killed. Then you got to go all the way back to 1984 to get James Numbnuts, who shot and killed 21 people and injured 19 others in a McDonald's restaurant. Then the University of Texas Tower shooting, August 1, 1966. 13 killed, 43 wounded. You can see the trend there. We're getting more and more and more active shootings, more and more mass shootings. It wasn't always like this. Yes, there was always violence, but it wasn't like this. 1966 on is when most of this started. And 1999, that's when it escalated. It's not because guns have become more prevalent or more efficient. Guns don't kill any better now than they did in 1966. It's the heart of man who has become different. Our society has changed. Like I said before, we have the choice between good or evil. What decides whether or not we do good or evil? It's our free will choice, right? If you have person A, who was raised under the teachings of Christianity, who believes that violence is bad, and that you shouldn't hurt innocent people, that you should protect innocent people. If someone insults you, you turn the other cheek and let them insult you back. Those teachings do not foster mass murder. They frown on mass murder. But now, more and more, we're living in a godless society. And in a godless society, things break down. What did T.S. Eliot say in his famous poem? The center does not hold. Things fall apart. If you can't hold the center, then things fall apart. They escalate and they get worse. And that's what's happening to us. We have a breakdown in the moral fabric of our society. Human life is not valued. Kids are playing video games that they have no business playing. Violent video games, violent movies. Human life is devalued. People are desensitized to violence. You have the breakdown in the family. Way too many single-parent homes. You have the proliferation of drugs and alcohol. You have a breakdown in our criminal justice system. We don't have enough room in our prisons to house all the bad guys, so we let them out. If you don't have accountability in this world, and then you throw atheism on top of that, that means you don't have accountability in the next world either. If there's no accountability in this world, and there's no accountability in the next world, that means we can do whatever we want with impunity. And that's what's happened to us. You will never, ever stop violence. You can't stop it. And the road that we're heading on right now, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. So what does that mean for our families? It means you have to change the way that you live. Number one, there's only one way that all of these people could have been saved, and that's by not going to that concert. We no longer have the luxury of going out in public, in the big cities, in venues that draw crazy people, Islamic terrorists, mass shooters, mentally ill. We can't do that anymore. Don't go to these venues. Maybe 20 years from now it'll be different, but right now it's not like that. Don't take your kids where there's going to be tens of thousands of people. In the military, they call that hand grenade bait. You know, when you clump together in a big group, the enemy looks at that and goes, oh, one hand grenade, I can take out 10 people instead of just one with my rifle. Don't be hand grenade bait. Don't clump together. If you can avoid the city at all cost. Almost all of these mass murders, they occur in large cities. In order for it to be a mass murder, you have to have masses. Masses don't exist out in the country. If you can move to the country, do it. Don't go to the city unless you have to. That's the way that it is. All right, one other thing. Make sure that you are spiritually ready to meet your Maker. Because, as we've just discovered, you could meet your Maker at any time. Get things right in your own heart. Get things right with God. Between then and now, prepare yourself and your family. Get armed and get trained. It's never been more important. You can't stop everything, but you stop what you can stop. Well, folks, next week on the Home Defense Show, we're going to continue with the theme of open-handed self-defense. We will have Craig Gray on the Home Defense Show. He is the highest-ranking Krav Maga instructor outside of Israel. So he is really good. I watched one of his classes. The guy was awesome. We will be speaking with him in segments 2 and 3 next week. We hope to see you for that. Okay, folks. Well, that about wraps it up for this week's episode on the Home Defense Show. Always remember your purpose in life is to find something greater than yourself and serve it. Always remember God, family, country in that order. It's important how you live, but it's equally important how you die. Your family and the ones you love need your protection, so train, always train, stay alert, stay alive. Until next week on the Home Defense Show, this is your host, Skip Correia. God bless you, God bless your family, and God bless America.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Home Defense Show. Now, get out there and protect the ones you love. We'll see you next week with more of the best in home defense.
Bye-bye, boys! Have fun storming the castle!